Have you ever been scrolling through your feed late at night, maybe after a long day, and found yourself stopped by someone else's post? A friend's vacation, with sunsets so golden it feels unreal. Another, announcing their promotion, their smile almost whispering, "I made it." Or maybe it's just someone showing off a perfect moment. A family dinner, a sparkling new car, or a gym transformation that feels miles ahead of where you are. And then, like a whisper you can't unhear, it sneaks in. Why not me? In that moment, it's not just about their picture or their post. It's about how it makes you feel. Less than, behind, like you're watching a parade you'll never be part of. And the worst part? You know better. You know it's not the full picture. They've got their struggles too. But that doesn't stop the ache, does it? It feels like there's this invisible scoreboard and you're the only one with negative points. Your failures feel louder, your insecurities sharper, and their wins? Somehow brighter. It's like playing a game where the rules are constantly changing, and the only consistent thing is how far behind you always seem. But why does it hurt so much? Why does seeing someone else's joy feel like a quiet reminder of everything you're not? It's not because you're bitter or unkind. It's because deep down, we're all just searching for something. Validation, security, the belief that we're enough. Think about it. How many times have you told yourself, "I'll be happy when you get the job, when you lose the weight, when you find the right relationship," but then you see someone else who's already there, and suddenly, your when feels so far away. It's exhausting, isn't it? Like running a race you didn't sign up for against people you've never even met on a track that keeps shifting. But here's the truth that no one tells you. Comparison isn't just a thief of joy, it's a thief of clarity. It tricks you into thinking that your worth is tied to someone else's success, that their journey has anything to do with yours. And yet, we can't seem to stop, can we? It's like there's a part of us that's wired to compare, to measure, to rank ourselves against others. But here's what we often forget. Comparison is a game no one wins, not them, not you. So, why do we keep playing? Today, we're going to talk about that. About why it feels so personal, why it's so hard to let go, and how you can finally start to take back control of your own story. Because deep down, you already know this isn't about them, don't you? It's about you. It's about the little voice inside that wonders if you're enough. The quiet fears that wake you up at night. The dreams you're too scared to speak out loud because what if you fail? But here's the thing. You're not alone in feeling this way. We all wrestle with these thoughts. And that's why this conversation matters. Because maybe, just maybe, you're ready to put the scoreboard down. Are you ready to look at this differently? To shift the focus away from what you don't have and start seeing the value in what you do? Because if you are, then let's talk. Let's explore why this cycle of comparison feels so relentless, why it keeps pulling you back, and most importantly, how you can break free. Not tomorrow, not someday, right now. So we've all been there, haven't we? Caught in the cycle of measuring ourselves against others. It starts innocently enough, a glance at a friend's new achievement or a moment of success. But then, like a quiet poison, it seeps in and begins to reshape your thoughts, your sense of worth. Suddenly, everything you've worked for feels small. The steps you've taken to improve yourself, the struggles you've faced, the personal growth you've achieved, it all seems less significant because you're looking at someone else's highlight reel and comparing it to your behind the scenes. But why does this comparison feel so heavy? Why does it feel like a weight pressing down on your chest? The problem is that when we compare, we aren't just measuring accomplishments or success, we're comparing identities. It's not about their vacation photos or their perfect family moments. It's about how we start to question who we are in the process. We feel as though we're not enough, that somehow their success is proof that we're lacking. It's as though our self-worth has become a currency in a game we didn't even want to play. This silent battle, this tug-of-war between who we are and who we think we should be, is what makes comparison so dangerous. It doesn't just steal our joy, it erodes our confidence. Over time, we stop believing in our own path, in our own value, because we're too busy measuring our progress against someone else's. It's almost as if we've been taught that success is a one-size-fits-all formula, that there's a clear and exact way to live life, achieve happiness, and find fulfillment. And if we don't hit those exact milestones when others do, then somehow we failed. But here's the harsh truth. There is no universal timeline. The beauty of life is that we all move at different paces. Some of us find our passions early. Others take longer to discover them. Some of us achieve big things in our 20s, while others blossom in their 40s or beyond. And yet, because of the comparisons we make, we forget this. We look at someone else's timeline, and it clouds our vision of our own. Imagine if the world's greatest minds had compared their progress to others. Think about all the people who revolutionized industries, created beautiful works of art, or inspired millions. They didn't wait for permission, and they certainly didn't measure themselves against others. They forged their own paths. They understood that their worth was never contingent on someone else's success. So why do we keep falling into the comparison trap? It's because we live in a society that glorifies external markers of success, money, status, beauty, fame, while overlooking the inner achievements that truly matter. We see a person's outward appearance and mistakenly assume that it's the entire picture, when in reality, everyone is fighting their own silent battles. Everyone has their own set of challenges, doubts, and fears. When you compare yourself to someone else, you're only seeing a snapshot of their life. You're not seeing the sleepless nights, the personal sacrifices, the moments of doubt, or the struggles they've faced to get where they are. You're seeing the polished version, the version they choose to show. But here's the reality. There's no one who has it all figured out. The truth is, comparison doesn't serve you. It doesn't move you forward or bring you closer to your goals. It just creates more self-doubt, more fear, and more anxiety. It makes you question your worth, your choices, and your ability to succeed. But here's the thing, none of it is true. The idea that you're failing because someone else is succeeding is a lie. You are on your own path, and that path is unique to you. What if we stopped focusing on others and started focusing on ourselves? What if we chose to embrace the small victories, the quiet progress, the moments when we showed up for ourselves, even when it felt hard? These are the real wins. You see, when you compare, you're not just discounting someone else's effort, you're also discounting your own. You're denying the value of your journey, the uniqueness of your experiences, and the strength you've built along the way. Comparison may feel like an easy way to measure progress, but in reality, it only keeps you stuck. It makes you think you have to be someone else to be good enough. But here's the truth, you don't. You're already enough. Your story is already enough. It's time to let go of the need to compare, to stop measuring your worth against someone else's. Because when you do, you'll begin to see your own journey for what it truly is. A beautiful, one-of-a-kind path that only you can walk. It's time to stop letting someone else's success make you feel small. It's time to start honoring your own growth, your own pace, your own story. At some point, you have to decide. Will you keep living in the shadow of others' successes, or will you step into the light of your own journey? It's a choice that, on the surface, sounds simple. But when you've been trapped in the cycle of comparison for so long, it can feel like the hardest decision in the world. Imagine waking up in the morning, not with a sense of dread or a racing heart about where you are in comparison to others, but with a sense of peace. A quiet acceptance that your path is unfolding exactly as it should. That today you are exactly where you need to be, regardless of how anyone else is doing. What would that feel like? We often think that letting go of comparison means we're giving up or resigning ourselves to being mediocre. But the truth is, letting go of comparison means choosing yourself. It means deciding that your journey, no matter how slow, no matter how messy, is just as important as anyone else's. It means recognizing that success isn't a race. It's a personal story that only you can write. Breaking free from comparison isn't about ignoring the achievements of others or pretending that their success doesn't matter. It's about shifting your focus, shifting it away from what everyone else is doing, and turning it inward to recognize your own progress, your own worth. But how do you make that shift? How do you stop measuring yourself by someone else's scale and begin to value your own journey? First, it begins with acceptance. Acceptance of where you are right now. Acceptance that you don't have to be on the same timeline as anyone else. You don't have to hit the same milestones at the same time. You don't have to check off every box that society says you should. The only thing you need to focus on is your own path. And yes, that can be terrifying, because society constantly tells us that success means keeping up with everyone else. And if you're not achieving at the same pace, you're falling behind. But here's the secret: you're not falling behind. You're exactly where you need to be. The path you're walking is uniquely yours, and no one else can walk it for you. The second part of breaking free from comparison is about redefining success. Too often we're taught that success looks like a specific set of things: money, fame, beauty, status. But what if success didn't have to look like that? What if success was simply about showing up every day, doing your best, and being true to yourself? What if success was about the courage it takes to get out of bed when you're exhausted, the resilience to keep moving forward even when you can't see the finish line, or the strength to keep trying after a failure? What if success was about staying true to who you are rather than trying to meet someone else's expectations? When you start to redefine success, when you begin to realize that your worth isn't tied to external achievements, that's when the real transformation happens. That's when you stop looking at other people's lives and start appreciating your own. But it's not easy. The world is loud, and the pressure to keep up with everyone else is constant. It's easy to look at someone else's progress and think, I should be there by now. But here's the truth. No one's progress, no matter how polished it looks, has been without its challenges. Everyone has faced setbacks. Everyone has faced doubts. What matters isn't where someone else is. It's where you are and how you're choosing to move forward from here. One powerful way to begin this journey is through gratitude. Instead of focusing on what you don't have, start by acknowledging what you do. Look at how far you've come. Look at the challenges you've already overcome, the lessons you've learned, and the strength you've built. These are the things that make your journey valuable. These are the markers of success that no one can take away from you. And remember, growth isn't always visible. Sometimes it's the quiet moments, the small shifts that make the biggest impact. The way you've learned to cope with stress, the way you've learned to forgive yourself, the courage it took to speak up for yourself. These things matter. They are victories in their own right. So, let go of the need to measure yourself against someone else's timeline. Let go of the pressure to achieve on someone else's schedule. Your story is yours alone to tell, and it's unfolding exactly as it should. It's time to shift your focus from the scoreboard of comparison to the simple, beautiful act of living your life. Step into your own light and allow yourself to shine in your own way. Because when you stop measuring yourself by others, that's when you truly begin to live. That's when you find freedom. That's when you discover the power that's been inside you all along. There's a deep, often unspoken truth about comparison. It robs us of the most important gift we can give ourselves: the ability to be kind to ourselves. When you're constantly measuring your worth against others, you often forget to acknowledge your own humanity. You forget that it's okay to have flaws. You forget that imperfection is part of the beautiful, messy reality of being human. Instead of embracing who you are, with all your quirks, challenges, and mistakes, you find yourself holding up a magnifying glass to every small misstep, every imperfection, as if it somehow diminishes your value. But here's the truth that needs to be said louder than the voice of comparison. Your flaws are not your failures. They are the parts of you that make you uniquely you. Your struggles, your vulnerabilities, your imperfections, they are the very things that connect you to the world. Imagine for a moment that you allowed yourself to be imperfect. What if you didn't need to apologize for your mistakes? What if you could look in the mirror and see not a collection of failures, but a person who is learning, growing, and doing the best they can? That's what self-compassion is all about. It's the ability to embrace your flaws without judgment, to accept yourself even when you fall short, and to see your imperfections as part of what makes you beautifully human. Too often, we give more grace to others than we do to ourselves. We can forgive our friends, our family, even strangers for their mistakes. But when it comes to ourselves, we hold ourselves to impossible standards. We forget that we are, just like everyone else, doing the best we can with what we have. Self-compassion doesn't mean letting yourself off the hook when you make a mistake. It means recognizing that mistakes are part of the process. It means forgiving yourself when you fall short and offering yourself the same kindness you would give a friend. For example, when you're struggling with a setback or a failure, the last thing you probably want to hear is someone telling you to be kind to yourself. But that's exactly what you need. Self-compassion isn't about ignoring your feelings of disappointment or frustration. It's about acknowledging them with tenderness instead of harsh criticism. It's about sitting with your pain, not running from it. It's about offering yourself a moment of kindness when everything feels overwhelming. When you compare yourself to others, you often feel like you're not measuring up, like you're not enough. But when you turn inward and practice self-compassion, you realize that you are, in fact, more than enough. You are whole, even in your imperfections. Self-compassion also involves embracing your own pace. Just because someone else is sprinting through life doesn't mean you have to keep up. Your timeline is yours. The path you're on is yours alone. Your milestones are just as valid as anyone else's, no matter how big or small they may seem. It's easy to think that being kind to yourself means letting go of ambition, but it's actually the opposite. True self-compassion allows you to show up for yourself with more energy, more focus, and more clarity. It means being gentle with yourself on the hard days so that you can keep moving forward. But it's a practice, one that requires patience, persistence, and a willingness to let go of the harsh self-judgment that comparison feeds into. It's not always easy to treat yourself with kindness, especially when the world around you is filled with messages about perfection, success, and achievement. But every time you choose self-compassion over self-criticism, you build a stronger, more resilient version of yourself. When you give yourself the space to be imperfect, you stop living in the shadow of comparison. You stop measuring your worth by someone else's success. You realize that your flaws aren't obstacles, they're part of what makes you relatable, authentic, and most importantly, human. So today, take a moment to offer yourself the kindness you so freely give to others. When you make a mistake, don't beat yourself up. Instead, pause, breathe, and acknowledge that you are learning, you are growing, and you are doing the best you can. Remember, your imperfections are not something to hide or be ashamed of. They are the raw, real parts of you that make you uniquely powerful. They are your strength, and it's time to embrace them. Self-compassion is a gift that, when given to yourself, becomes the foundation of everything else. It's the power that allows you to rise above comparison and step into your own authenticity. It's the key to unlocking the freedom to be yourself, to stop measuring your worth against others, and to simply be. So, take a deep breath. Forgive yourself, and know that you are more than enough, just as you are. The hardest part of breaking free from comparison isn't just acknowledging that it's happening. It's learning how to stop. When comparison has been such a central part of your thought process, stopping can feel like trying to swim against a powerful current. But here's something that's even more powerful. You can reclaim your peace. You can escape the trap of measuring yourself against others. And when you do, you'll find a sense of calm that you never even knew you were missing. It starts with an awareness that you are caught in the trap. Comparison doesn't sneak up on you. It settles in slowly, like a quiet whisper telling you that you aren't enough. You might hear it when you scroll through social media and see someone living a life that seems more perfect than yours. Or maybe it comes when a friend or family member achieves something that you've been working toward, and you can't help but feel like you've fallen behind. But what if you could hear that whisper and turn away? What if you could silence that voice and focus on your own growth instead? The first step in reclaiming your peace is understanding that comparison is a thief. It steals your joy, your self-worth, and your sense of individuality. The more you compare, the more you lose touch with your own unique journey. You start to question your choices, your pace, and your value. You become distracted, disoriented, and eventually discouraged. And the worst part is, no matter how much you measure yourself against others, you can never truly know their struggles, their sacrifices, or their battles. Everyone is fighting their own invisible fight, and comparing yourself to that fight only leaves you feeling empty. So what do you do once you realize that comparison has been stealing from you? You stop feeding it. You stop engaging with the thoughts that make you feel like you're not enough. This doesn't mean you stop appreciating others or celebrating their successes. It simply means that you stop making their achievements a measurement of your own worth. Instead of looking at what others have and feeling less than, look inward and reflect on your own growth. Reflect on how far you've come, on the battles you've fought, and on the lessons you've learned along the way. Think about the things that you've achieved that no one else has seen, the late nights spent working on your dreams, the courage it took to try something new, the moments of doubt that you overcame, even though no one knew how hard it was. These are your victories, and they don't need to be compared to anyone else's. Once you start focusing on your own progress, you begin to realize that comparison has nothing to offer you but unnecessary stress and self-doubt. When you stop comparing, you make room for something more meaningful: self-acceptance. Self-acceptance isn't about settling for less than you deserve or avoiding growth. It's about recognizing that you are worthy of love and success right now, as you are. You don't need to be someone else. You don't need to fit into a mold of perfection that society has created. You just need to be the best version of yourself, in your own time, on your own terms. As you begin to break free from the comparison trap, you start to understand that peace doesn't come from being better than someone else. Peace comes from being at peace with yourself, with your own journey, and with the fact that you are enough. And here's the most beautiful part. When you start focusing on your own growth and achievements, something amazing happens. You stop feeling like the world is a competition. You stop measuring people's worth based on their success because you understand that everyone's path is different. You start celebrating the victories of others, not with jealousy, but with admiration, because you know that their journey is just as unique as yours. So how do you make this shift? How do you break free from the comparison trap once and for all? It begins with small steps. Start by paying attention to your thoughts. When you catch yourself comparing, gently redirect your mind. Remind yourself that your worth isn't tied to anyone else's success. Your value is inherent. It doesn't depend on what you've achieved or how much you have. Practice gratitude. Focus on what you have, not what you lack. Instead of looking at what others have and feeling envious, turn your attention to the blessings in your life. The people who love you, the opportunities you've been given, the strengths that make you unique, these are the things that truly matter. And most importantly, be kind to yourself. Break free from the need for external validation. Your journey is yours, and there's no timeline, no finish line, no checklist to complete before you can feel proud of who you are. The comparison trap may always try to whisper in your ear, but you can choose not to listen. You can choose to live your life with confidence, self-compassion, and peace. So as you move forward, remember that the most important thing you can do is embrace your own path. Celebrate your own victories, trust your own timing, and know that you are enough, not because you're like anyone else, but because you are uniquely, wonderfully, and perfectly you. You're not in a race, you're simply on your own journey, and that's enough.